We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello dear students, myself Dr. Damayanti Chibadka, Assistant Professor in Civil Engineering Department from S.N. Patel Institute of Technology and Research Center, Umrah, Babin, having Institute code 049. Today we are going to discuss topic durability of concrete part 2 from ME second semester construction engineering and management branch, having subject advanced concrete technology, having subject code 3721417. Already part 1 we discussed, so in that we are going to discuss another part. Today we are going to discuss durability of concrete part 2. So in part 1 we have already discussed few points. So highlights of previous lecture. So in our previous lecture, in durability part 1 lecture, we gone through the concepts, durability of concrete, controls, causes and preventive measures, capillary pores, entrapped air, honeycombs, crack and corrosion. So now today we will start chloride point under durability. So what are the harmful effects of chloride in concrete, focusing durability of concrete? So the chloride ions in concrete can have harmful effect on concrete as well as on reinforcement. In the first case, chloride penetration brings about concrete swelling of 2 to 2.5 times larger than that observed with water penetration. This causes slight reduction of concrete strength as well as causes of leaching of concrete, making it more porous and vulnerable. In the second phase, presence of chloride near the reinforcement steel is extremely dangerous, or we can say vulnerable. If the chloride to hydroxide ratio near the reinforcement steel drops below 0.3, passivation is destroyed and corrosion is inevitable. Chloride have therefore to be prevented from entering into concrete. Chlorides can be present in concrete material and are termed as domestic chlorides, or chlorides can be present in the environment around the concrete structure and are termed as foreign chlorides. Now, what are the limitations of chloride in materials concerning the concrete under durability aspects? So, the amount of chlorides permitted in concrete so far as corrosion of reinforcement is concerned is limited to acid soluble chloride content of 0.15% by weight of cement at the time of placing of concrete. This is recommended in IS Indian Standard 456 Code of Practice for plain and reinforced concrete. Now, under chloride, if we will discuss about the tricalcium aluminate, means about C3A, then there has been a lot of discussion about the limit of chloride in concrete, about domestic chloride versus foreign chloride. If there is uniform distribution of chloride, corrosion may be minimal. Further, even if the chloride is initially uniformly distributed, a non-uniform distribution eventually may result due to movement of water containing chloride in solution. Some of the domestic chloride can become chemically fixed by reactions with tricalcium aluminate component of the Portland cement, forming calcium chloroaluminate hydrate. These not only explain the good performance of Portland cement containing high amount of calcium aluminate, but also advocate such cement as a solution to the problems. It is not as advisable to use sulfate resistant cement in the environment where excessive chlorides are present, as sulfate resistant cement have low tricalcium aluminate content and therefore less ability to form calcium chloroaluminate hydrate. Now, what is the chloride diffusion under this topic? So, to protect the reinforcement from chloride penetration, it is essential to produce impermeable concrete, means concrete having a low water cement ratio, and give thicker cover to reinforcement steel. Studies have been undertaken and it is observed that with all mixed parameters remaining the same, reduction of water cement ratio reduces chloride ion penetration into the concrete to a considerable extent. If we will talk about blended cement in chloride environment, then it is also recommended to use blended cements containing pozzolanic materials or slag, as the chloride diffusion through cement paste of this cement is at a very slow rate than compared to ordinary Portland cement and sulfate resistant cement. Pozzolanic material, if present around 33%, is considered to be very effective in reduction of chloride diffusion into the concrete. Therefore, it is possible to use higher percentage of such material in very aggressive environment wherein high proportion of chloride are present. Now, if we talk about carbonation and under that alkalinity of concrete, then concrete is an alkaline substance that we know, and it provides excellent protection to reinforcement embedded inside. The alkaline environment forms a protective oxide film which passivates the steel and protects it from corrosion. Concrete initially has a pH value of above 13. Due to leaching, carbonation and defective construction practice, the pH value drops rapidly. Once pH value of concrete in the cover area drops below 10, the corrosion of steel reinforcement is inevitable and therefore concrete durability is at stake. Now, if we'll discuss more under this, then this is however dependent on the quality of concrete and its porosity, mainly in the cover area. Dense concrete, well produced and placed without segregation and proper compaction will offer good protection to steel embedded in it. It is also essential to produce concrete using low water cement ratio so that it has minimum unblocked capillary pores. Concrete of higher strength have lower water to cement ratio and hence they are preferred. Now, if we talk about the process of carbonation, then concrete carbonation has been on the increase these days on account of increase in level of environmental pollutant, especially in urban areas and in industrial townships. As hydrated calcium silicates and aluminates are less stable than calcium carbonate, concrete carbonation cannot be avoided in these circumstances. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in presence of water react with the concrete surface and concrete gets carbonated, or in other words we can say it turns acidic. This chemical reaction starts at the surface and generally goes within the concrete mass and is generally measured as a depth of carbonation. For that, so many tests are available. If we talk about the advantage and disadvantage of this process, then carbonation of concrete improve several characteristics of ordinary concrete, but can also catastrophically affect the durability of reinforced concrete. If the concrete is dense and well compacted, carbonation reduces the total porosity, specific surface of cement paste, as well as water permeability, which in turn increases resistance to sulfate and aggressive ion penetration. In reinforced concrete, these beneficial effects are associated with large decrease in alkalinity or drop in pH value. The alkalinity of concrete on carbonation loses the pH value from around 13.5 to 8.3. Therefore, steel is no longer passivated by the alkaline concrete around it. Oxidation of reinforcement steel therefore take place in presence of moisture and oxygen, and rusting occur. The rust increases the volume of steel and ultimately results in cracking and swelling of concrete. Now if we will talk about the rate of carbonation, then the rate of carbonation depend on various factors, which is divided in three subcategories. First, concrete quality. Second, environmental conditions. Third, type of cement base, because there are so many chemical components are present. The influence of first two group is very clearly understood from its name only. The concrete at the surface should be very dense, well compacted and well cured. Studies have indicated that carbonation depths are much less in high strength concrete than low strength concrete. All other parameters will remain same. Now, after chloride and carbonation, we will talk about sulfates. Then sulfates are generally found in groundwater and subsoil, that we all know. Seawater also contains large quantity of sulfate. Sulfate can be naturally occurring or could be as a consequence of industrial waste. Now, what are the factors causing deterioration? Then calcium, sodium, magnesium and ammonium sulfate in increasing order of hazard are harmful to concrete, as they can lead to concrete swelling and consequent cracking. The degree of deterioration will depend upon the following factors, which are concentration and type of sulfates present in the environment, characteristic of concrete and type of cement used. Calcium sulfate react with calcium aluminate in cement hydrase fanning and expensive ettringite under sulfates topic. Sodium sulfate react with calcium hydroxide and forms expensive gypsum in the presence of aluminates and may in turn lead to the formation of ettringite. Magnesium sulfate react with cement compound, thus decomposing cement itself and subsequently producing gypsum and ettringite. If we'll talk about the selection of cement, then for minimizing the danger of sulfate attack, low C3A content cement are recommended. Sulfate resistant cement with very low C3A content is more suitable. However, If chloride are also present in the groundwater and subsoil in addition to sulfate, then it is not recommended for use in a view of vulnerability of low C3A cement paste to chloride ion diffusion. Blended cement are most preferred when both sulfate and chloride are together present in environment. Blended cements have low C3A content and also enable production of paste containing small amount of calcium hydroxide. The pozzolana cement have also shown great sulfate resistance, which is probably due to the composition and the structure of the porous in hydrated paste. If we'll talk about the recommendation, then from that table you can see the classification and composition of various type of cement in different environmental conditions. So here you can see the type of cement, you can see the chemical resistance to sulfate. It is categorized moderate, high and very high. If we will talk about the type of cement, ordinary Portland cement, then if C3A is less than 8% means it is moderate. If a C3A less than 5%, YC3A plus C4F, combination of that less than 25%, or C4F plus C2F less than 25%, then it's a high. We will talk about the very high criteria. Then C3A is equal to 0%, C4F less than 20%, or the combination of C4F and C2F will be more less than 24%. Now we'll talk about the pozzolana cement. Then no special prescription is given for moderate, okay, but if we'll consider high, then C3 is less than 6%, and if we'll consider very high, then C3A should be less than 3.5%. If we'll talk about the slag type of cement, then slag should be greater than 36%, it is moderate. If slag greater than 70%, it's high, and if slag greater than 70% and C3A less than 2%, then it's a very high, means chemical resistant to sulfate, very high. So concrete in marine environment, in that if we'll talk about aggressive attacks on concrete, then zone wise attack type is given. Concrete in marine environment faces a simultaneous physical, chemical and mechanical deterioration process. The concrete structure is generally divided in three zones when it is placed or constructed in marine environment. So here in this table, the zone is given, type of attack is given. So if we talk about first, then atmosphere, the part of structure above the highest high tide level or splash zone, the type of attack will be chemical or physical. If a tidal zone means the zone between the highest high tide and lowest low tide, then type of attack chemical and physical and mechanical. If we talk about third, submerged, then the zone always submerged in sea water, and this type of attack is chemical and physical. Here in this figure you can see there is a sea water and the bridge is there, which is the structure in contact with sea water, and it is the concrete is attacked because of that corrosion. Okay, so aggressive attack on concrete, if we'll discuss considering this figure, so from the table it is evident that tidal zone faces the most aggressive conditions. See this figure. Besides physical and chemical reactions, it also faces mechanical forces, and therefore deterioration on any marine or offshore structure is generally observed to be more severe on the portion which is in the tidal zone. Besides the tidal zone, faces alternate wetting and drying cycle which accelerate chemical action of salt and water on reinforcement steel and concrete around it. If we'll talk about the chemical attack under concrete in marine environment, then seawater has a very high salt content, means we can say around 3.5%. Amongst the salt, chloride and sulfate are most predominant and cause aggressive reactions, greatly affecting durability and strength of concrete structure. Sodium and potassium chlorides are generally present in seawater in high proportion, that we all know well. However, they are not the dangerous so as to cause serious durability problem as compared to magnesium chloride and sulfate present in seawater in small proportion. Magnesium salt present in seawater causes most of the chemical attack. The seawater is classified as highly aggressive, and because of that many researchers working on durability aspect of concrete. Magnesium hydroxide is formed as a result of chemical reaction. This compound being insoluble precipitates in dense concrete. The magnesium hydroxide tends to seal the pores and thereby reduce and prevent penetration of chloride and sulfate into the concrete mass. It also reduces the leaching. The other aggressive action on concrete comes from carbon dioxide, which is dissolved in seawater. The dissolved carbon dioxide or carbonic acid leach away the calcium from hydrated cement paste, resulting in destroying the passivation action of concrete on reinforcement steel. The leaching action also causes reduction of concrete mass. The reaction between carbon dioxide and CO2 and calcium ion occurs in the surface layer of permanently submerged area of concrete. Calcium carbonate is formed and precipitation of this compound in the cement paste pores act as a seal, thereby protecting the concrete from ingress of the other harmful chemical. While CO2 and magnesium ion are stopped by the first layer of concrete due to precipitation, chloride and sulfate penetrate slowly into concrete, where their concentration decreases from the surface inwards. The chemical attack will therefore greatly depend on concrete porosity and permeability to seawater and aggressive chemicals within it. As a blended cement paste have clearly shown their ability to block chloride on penetration better than other type of cement, they are generally preferred for improving the durability of concrete. Pozzolanic or slag cement have more compact paste. They binder the sulfate penetration besides their low C3A content and low calcium hydroxide content help in further reduction of aggressive action of sulfate on concrete. Now, if we'll talk about vulnerable concrete in tidal zone, then the zone in tidal and atmospheric location are more vulnerable to aggressive action of sea than the zone fully submerged in water. This is on account of four main reasons given here. The rate of corrosion of embedded steel is dependent on the availability of oxygen. Dissolved oxygen in seawater is very less, and hence corrosion of the reinforcement steel seldom takes place in the totally submerged area. In the tidal and atmospheric zone, where oxygen is present in adequate quantity, corrosion of steel is much faster. In the portion of concrete structure above sea level, the sea water rises upward by capillary action. The water evaporates, leaving behind crystals of dissolved salt. This crystalline growth generally increases, causing tensile stresses. When the tensile stresses exceed that of concrete, disintegration of concrete surface take place. Due to fluctuation of seawater level, the leached salt and corroded concrete fragments gets washed away and erosion of concrete take place, resulting in loss of mass. The mechanical impact of sea waves is active in tidal zone only. This therefore continuously increases the wear and tear of concrete in this zone. If we talk about preventive measures under concrete in marine environment, then selection of cement will play a very important role in seawater environment. Slag and pozzolanic cement must be preferred. Alternatively, mineral additives like ground granulated blast furnace slag or fly ash or micro silica can be successfully used with ordinary Portland cement. Now, we will discuss about the alkali aggregate reaction. So, what are the causes of alkali aggregate reaction? Several harmful chemical reactions between aggregate and ordinary Portland cement have been reported. The most common reaction is the one between certain type of silica occurring in aggregates and alkalis present in the cement. This type of silica, which are alkali reactive or opal, chalcedony and tridymite, due to this reaction, a gel made up of alkaline and alkaline earth silicate is formed. This gel has a tendency to absorb water and swell. Causes are the swelling causes internal stress, and when this stress exceeds the tensile strength of the phased cracking of concrete can occur. This problem cannot be always solved by changing the aggregate. Therefore, cement of appropriate chemical composition has to be used. It is believed that expansive reaction does not occur with Portland cement containing Na2O equivalent to Na2O plus 0.658 K2O, not exceeding 0.6%. However, tolerable limits of alkalis per cubic meter of cement are also suggested by some specifications. Alkali contained less than 1.8 kg per cubic meter of concrete is considered as safe limit, while concrete containing 3.8 to 4 kg per cubic meter of alkalis is potentially dangerous for concrete. Using blast furnace slag cement and pozzolanic cement is yet another solution. However, some pozzolanas contain excessive alkalis, and hence quantity and quality of blended material will also influence the alkali-silica reaction. If we'll talk about the preventive measure under alkali aggregate reaction, then use non-reactive aggregate from alternate source. Use low alkali cement as suggested above. Control total alkali content in concrete. Reduce cement content in concrete by using proper chemical admixtures. Use blended cements or use mineral additive as a part replacement of cement. Use alkali silica reaction inhibited in salt. Control dampness around the structure. If we will go for the conclusion about the topic, then if durable concrete structure are to be produced, all control must be properly exercised. Certain common parameters emerge must be noted. It is very important to control the water to cement ratio while designing and producing concrete mixes. Low water to cement ratio gives low permeability of water and other aggressive chemicals. It also means a high strength. This is probably the only reason why concrete in many developed countries are not considered to be structural grade if their strength are below and 40. Concrete must have good workability and cohesiveness. This reduces the chance of porosity due to entrapped air and honeycombing. All steps of concrete making must be properly supervised and controlled. Each step has a significant role to play in durability and therefore cannot be ignored because prevention is better than cure. There are several reasons due to which concrete cracks. It is not possible to completely avoid cracking, It is difficult to cover all such reasons in the write-up. However, proper design, selection of material including the chemical admixture, curing and protection against wind, low humidity and high ambient temperature is necessary to reduce cracking. Blended cement, mineral additives and chemical additives have a significant role in playing durability, and advantages in their use should be fully exploited. Services like electrical conduit, water and drainage line embedded within the concrete structure, or tampering and modifying a concrete structure can pose a serious threat to durability, and hence before taking any action, durability aspect must be considered. Minimum cement content and maximum water to cement ratio will depend on environmental conditions prevailing around the proposed structure. Lastly, it is essential to remember that failures occur on account of just four reasons or a combination of them. What are that? Ignorance, carelessness, greed and negligence. It is clearly understood. These are simple words but can have very significant meaning, especially when one reads about loss of life and property due to collapse and failure of RCC structure just few years old. So dear student, whatever we discussed under durability, that topic will be helpful to you to understand the durability under concrete. So in your this subject we have covered durability. In durability we have seen many attack, many prevention measure, how to cure it, what prevention should be taken care, what we have to keep in mind, some fundamental things we discussed. Basics we have seen in durability of concrete. Regarding that we have discussed the technical content in PPT. What I want to deliver to you, that I mentioned clearly in PPT, so you can read it properly and you can understand. So in part 1 and part 2 I cover durability. So our today's lecture is complete over here, but in next lecture I will come with a new topic related to your syllabus. Till that, stay safe, take care, all the very best and study well.